So we're going to start off with the feet wider. I'm going to say it's in between a wide-legged forward fold and feet hip width apart. So if this is a wide-legged forward fold and this is hip width apart somewhere in the middle, okay, for me this turns out to be about the width of my mat. And I want the heel slightly turned out. I don't want the toes turned out too much. What you're going to do here is hinge from the hips, bend the knees, let the sits bones come up, and grab a pair of blocks, okay? And usually when we do bend and re-extend, I ask you to bend the knees just a little bit and then re-extend the legs. This time I actually want you to drop the butt a little more. So you're not shooting forward into the knees, you're leading the butt back, and you're letting the butt be heavy enough that there's a bit of a stretch going on in your lower back, as long as it's comfortable. And you take the block to the height that works for you, okay? Push the heels down, and then very, very slowly start to lift the butt up, up, up. And you might notice that you can't fully straighten it or straighten the legs if you are doing this with integrity. And you don't need to. And you don't stay very long. You drop the butt back down, press the heels down, widen the knees a little bit, let the belly hang between the thighs, and then slowly, slowly lift from the butt. Now, if your quadriceps are burning here or just starting to work, it's telling you that you're not putting enough weight into your heels. Can I maybe spread the toes and lift the toes? Let the butt hang heavy. And from the butt hanging heavy, the heels grounding. So the posterior chain is what's being activated here. I press my heels down again, slowly lift the butt to the point where you feel like you're nearing your maximum. You're feeling a good hamstring stretch, maybe some quivering. Let the chest go forward. Don't hold very long. I'm going to do 2 more. And again, dial into your breath here. Big inhale, sit low. On your exhale, slowly, slowly release. Lift the sits bones, press down on the heels, maybe the legs straighten, but not by doing it, but by pushing the knees back, okay? And maybe they don't. It's just this action of opening up the backs of the legs. And then if your lift is only maybe this much, that's all you need. All you need. And breathe. And let's say if you're more up here, that's totally okay too. And your bend and re-extend just looks more like that, okay? Let's maybe do 1 more. I'm showing you just from the front, even though the side view is probably better, but you'll see I'm not really, really locking out my knees. I'm not really straightening. I'm kind of just in between to really wake up the back of the legs. From here, okay, press into the blocks. You're going to make your way back down onto your knees. And I'd like you to take a child's pose and take the child's pose pretty wide. So the knees are about the width of the mat, big toes touch. Here is where you get into the groin some more, which really affects the hamstrings as well, and also the back. So I am going to get my butt back, but the driver is always the sits bones. My sits bones are moving back, moving back, moving back. If I just easily pop down onto my heels, that's not really doing much. I want the butt to hover. Let's say if this is my maximum. You want to lift up a little bit from your maximum. And then from there, push, push, push the sits bones back as you reach the arms forward. Can you not arch the lower back? Can you hold the lower ribs in a little bit? Can you keep the ears right above the biceps so you're not dumping the shoulder joints down? Shoulders are active. As I extend my arms, especially my triceps forward, can I push my sits bones back even more? Breathe here. And the more you get the sits bones back, the more you'll start to find and actively push the sits bones. For me, I find groins. I find some release in my mid upper back, which is the tightest part of my back, and this the signature Jess Sheet hump. Okay, but I feel release there. I feel like things are moving there. This is me fighting against my genetics, and sometimes winning and sometimes not. Good. And as that feels good, keep the sits bones active. Take your arms over slightly to the right. Don't jam down on this left shoulder, deepen the armpit. Keep buoyancy along this whole line. So as I'm reaching my left tricep forward, do a little more with that left sits bone. Pull it back and breathe. If you really activate through the sits bones, you're not going to feel like the knees are bending too deeply, okay? And for those of you who find this challenging to get the knees that deep, I forgot to mention earlier, you can always do puppy dog. So you don't get your hips too much past 90. And the work's similar. You just bring your knees closer to each other, push that sits bone back, and then slowly, slowly lengthen the side. Okay, so I'll show puppy dog on the other side. I come back to center. If you're in child's pose and you're happy, stay there. If your knees can't bend past 90 or, it's just uncomfortable, don't pull it past 90. Let the butt be kind of hovering above the heels, but the same concept applies. Hold your lower ribs in. Pull back using your sits bones. I'm going to go diagonally to the left now. My right sits bone is going to pull back. My right tricep reaches forward. Don't drop your head too low. And breathe all into the right side of the waist, right side of the ribs. Good. And slowly from here, you're going to come back to center. We're going to do a quick downward dog. This is completely up to you whether you want to keep your hands on the mat or if you're starting and you're pretty tight, you may want to come up a little higher, okay? So if you're doing a down dog with the blocks, your down dog's slightly shorter. You're still not falling into your shoulders. You're just going to work on bending the knees and then pulling the butt back as much as you can and think about reaching the heels down and back, okay? Don't let the heels push into the floor. Rather, let the heels reach back more than trying to push into the floor. And from there, one more time, bend the knees, keep the armpits deep, exhale, stick the butt back. And you can totally ignore me and do what feels good to you. It could be a little bit of pedaling. Don't take the down dog too short. If it's too short, you lose the purpose of a down dog. Like if you're here, it's not really a down dog. It's just an extended forward fold, okay? You do want some weight and work in the shoulders and arms. And if you're not on the blocks, your down dog tends to be a teeny bit longer. Soften your knees, same thing, pedal out the legs, swish the hips a little bit side to side. Anything that helps to warm you up, that comes to you and it doesn't involve straining anything, okay? From here, you're gonna come back down. I would like to do a shoulder and pectoral release, okay? This is gonna look a lot worse than it actually feels. It actually feels pretty nice. And I'll show you in both facing away from you and facing towards you. So I'm gonna lie sideways on this block, and the block is really for to support my head, okay? My ear pod is probably gonna come out, so let me explain it before I lie down. I'm gonna lie sideways. Instead of bringing my arm in front of me, I'm gonna take the arm and bring it behind me. I think it's probably better to have your palm face down, but you can play with facing the palm up if you want to. It's just that when you're facing the palm this way, you're closing the shoulder. You're trying to keep the shoulder open. So it looks a little different when I'm lying down. I'm basically going to come down to my side, okay? And instead of reaching my left arm this way, I'm going to reach my left arm back, palm facing the floor, and I slowly bring my head down. I'm not going to put my head all the way down because of the ear pod. You won't be able to hear me. But you release the head down and just stack your knees, or you can bring your legs a little straighter, whatever feels good to you. But the key is when you do lie down, there's a little bit of pressure that's happening in the front of that left shoulder. And you feel a stretch going on the pectorals, especially if your pectorals are tight. Can you take this arm, okay, play with it, turn from the upper arm bone, turn it in so the palm is facing up, turn it back out, okay? And as you lie down, I'm going to do this so I can not impinge the ear pod, okay? And the more stretch that you're trying to get into that left pectoral, it's going to have to depend on how much you open your body. If this is already pretty strong, you can stay here. You can take that top arm, reach back, and try to meet the back arm. And if that's all you want to do for the next 5 breaths or so, stay put. If you want to take it a little bit further, I'm going to relax this left leg, the leg that's down. I'm going to take this top leg, okay? And I'm going to open up a little bit and put the foot on the floor. So as my top hip, instead of stacking, as my top hip falls back a little bit, It's going to put a little more pressure on this arm. It's going to open up my left pectoral a little more. Your heads are still down, okay? And you can play with closing the hip a little bit, opening it back up to see what that's doing. And what it should do is give you a stretch along that left pectoral line into the bicep. You can take that top arm down. You can hang out here if it feels good and just take your time. Okay, a few deep breaths. Again, use breath to guide you always through the class. If this is too intense, you simply lower your arm down a little closer towards your hip, okay? And if you want more, you just take the arm up a little more. Now, coming out of this, I would like you to stack your legs, come out safely so you're not going to hurt the bottom shoulder. Push down on the opposite arm, peel yourself up, bend the elbow, okay? Slowly scoop yourself in. And when you come up, first check to make sure everything's good. Maybe roll that shoulder a little bit back and forth. All of this is super beneficial for opening up the bicep and the chest. Okay, now if I were to face you, again, I'm lying down sideways and I'm taking this arm, my right arm now, my palm is facing to the floor, okay? And so palm is facing down and I'm lying down, okay? And you're gonna pretend that my head is on the block. From here, you see how everything feels. So my back arm is almost like 90 degrees extended straight back. I can take this top arm and reach it back with it. Maybe interlace the fingers, maybe just let it hang. And if that's already giving me enough of stretch across the pectoral and the top of the shoulder, I just let it be. I don't overdo it, okay? And you hang out here again. Breathe. This is probably going to be the chillest part of class until we hit Shavasana, so really enjoy it, okay? If you want a little bit more, you relax this bottom leg, you take this top leg up, walk the foot forward a little so you can almost put the foot down, and then you open the hip up. As soon as I open up that top hip, more weight is being put on my right shoulder. It's asking my pectorals to stretch a little more. If that's too much, don't do it. If it feels good to you, you can play with closing the hip a little bit, opening back up, okay? Or just stay in one position, whatever feels good to you. And you're gonna try to just hang out here and relax and ease into the pose. I should have thought this early. I could put the side of my head without touching my ear, duh, okay? You learn, yeah. Uh, and don't get to the point where the arm feels numb. If it starts to feel tingly or numb, you're, too deep, okay? And then slowly, whenever you're ready, close that hip back up. Use the supporting arm to gently press yourself up. Don't put too much weight on the arm that you're stretching. Push yourself up and then you bend that elbow. Do this slowly because you don't want to hyperextend the elbow by accident, okay? And then again, you come back up, roll that shoulder back around, okay? Make sure nothing hurts. From here, you're going to get into your downward dog a second time. So again, use blocks whenever you want to, or if you're not using blocks, come into down dog. You do your own thing, whatever feels good. Half the time I practice with blocks, half without. It has nothing to do with, what makes you a better person or not. It really just what part of your body you're hitting, how you're trying to hit it. All right, let's get a little bit more circulation, okay, into our bodies. Take an inhale, hinge forward, whether you're on blocks or not. Shoulders right above the wrist, maybe lengthen out into a full plank, okay? Open up the chest, soften the upper back. Look like slightly maybe a foot or two in front of your hands. Don't arch the neck, but definitely don't drop the head, okay? Lift those inner thighs, lift the hips, pull yourself back into downward dog. We're gonna do this about 2 more times. Each time we do it, think about hinging from the shoulders and allowing the lever of the body to come forward but evenly distributed. So my hips are low, my bottom of the butt is firm, firm, firm into the hamstrings. My hamstrings are lifted. Use the hips to pull yourselves back. Try to get deeper into down dog. Press into the inner part of the hands. Spread the toes. Try to reach the heels down and back, down and back. Okay? One more time. Inhale. Come forward. Hold your abdominals in. Lift, lift, lift the inner thighs. Keep it strong as you exhale. Slowly, slowly pull it all the way back. Don't drop the head too low because it's going to push down too much on the shoulder joints. Let there be buoyancy, depth in the armpits. From here, you come down onto your knees. Okay, we're going to do one more puppy dog before we come out. From here, tuck the toes under. If you liked the wide knee child's pose, you can also go into that. Okay, I pull my butt about halfway back, again driving the sits bones to move back. Reach the arms forward, press into the inner part of the hands. Think about pushing to the inner parts. Think about spinning the biceps out a little more. And from there, pull, pull, pull back. So what happens when you do that, when you spin the biceps away from each other, is the triceps turn on. That gives you a little more stretch across that mid upper back. And think about pulling your sits bones back, reaching forward at the same time to create just a little more length all across that mid upper back, and use that to lengthen out everything. Yeah. Take a deep breath here. Good. And then slowly make your way back up. Okay. My suggestion is use blocks, and you can curl your toes under, roll back up, or one leg up at a time, come into a wide-legged forward fold. And like we did earlier with the bending and re-extending, now that your feet are more hip width, can we do this one more time? Drop the butt, let the butt hang, hug the outer shin bones to the inner, widen the inner knees a little, but you're still on big toe balls and inner heels. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen the hamstrings up, widen the knees, okay? Stretch the chest forward. Take an inhale, half lift, exhale, fold. And then as you inhale, you can slowly come back up, hinge from the hips, soften the shoulders back down, lift through the triceps, and then exhale, release the arms down by your sides. Okay, so you're going to do the next part standing. I'm going to kneel because you won't be able to see my arms in this frame. And all you're doing is, so you're pretending that I'm standing, okay? So your torso is long. You're gonna take your left arm, reach that left arm up, lengthen through the tricep, bend the elbow. So it's like I'm spinning my tricep inward, my shoulder blade stays down. I feed that tricep into the elbow with my right hand. Then I guide it across, okay? I use my right hand to gently push down on the elbow. So my left hand is reaching down in between the shoulder blades. But then I think about lengthening that tricep and push back up into the hand. So from the back, this forearm, okay, this forearm is reaching down because this hand is pushing down on the elbow, but I resist. I resist by lengthening this up, okay? And that helps to kind of activate this whole outer line because the tricep opening opens up the whole side body. Relax the trapezius, and if your shoulders are tight, what's going to happen is as you do this, your lower ribs will push out. Can you hold your lower ribs in a little bit? If you can't get your elbow that far back, lean it forward a little bit, okay? And conversely, if um, if your head, or if you're open enough, your head can actually push back a little bit. Hold your lower ribs in, reach that elbow into the hand, hand pushes back down on the elbow. Good. Open back out. Okay, now other arm. I'm going to take my right arm, reach it back up, lengthen through that tricep, bend the elbow, reach that tricep up into the elbow. Don't hike up the trapezius. And then slowly take that left hand, cup that elbow, gently draw the elbow down. And then my elbow reaches up into the hand. Hold the lower ribs in. If the head wants to push back into the arms a little, do it, but don't force it. Keep breathing. And you keep doing this active thing of hand pushing the elbow down, elbow pushing back up into the hand. Don't do it too hard. Enough just to activate. Good, good, good. And breathe. Okay? Now, again, you're going to stretch your imagination a little bit. Once I come down, you're going to, again, pretend I'm standing. Now that we've woken up the tricep, can we reach the arms up? Can we take a side bend? Okay? So again, I'm going to take my left arm up first. Use the right hand to grab the left wrist, turn that tricep and feed the tricep up and take a slight side bend. So if I were standing, okay, it would look like my pelvis is neutral, My arm is up and I'm doing a little bit of a sideways arc, not so much as I'm dumping into this waist. I'm doing diagonally up and slightly over. Really think about tricep reaching all the way through the fingertip. Okay, inhale, come back up, switch the grip, turn that right tricep in. Left hand grab the right wrist so your palm is almost facing behind you. Hold the lower belly and lift up through the tricep. And then think about length more than a side bend. Breathe, breathe, breathe. I'm extending from tricep all the way to pinky finger. Whole body opening up. Good. And then inhale, come back to center. Release the arms back down. Give the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Okay, you are still standing facing forward. Let's do a couple of modified Surya Namaskars or sun salutations, but my way, which is a little different from just A or B. Okay, start with the feet hip width apart, heels slightly wider than the toes. Your pelvis is neutral, your lower belly is engaged, your pubis bone slightly pulled up, bottom of the butt firms into the hamstring. Okay, take an inhale, reach the arms up. On your exhale, you release. So don't let this tighten. You send the pubis bone in between your legs. Hinge the pelvis forward, diving from the pelvis. Come down to your blocks. Take an inhale, stretch the chest forward, send the thigh bones back. Don't lock the knees. Okay. On your next exhale, you're going to step the left leg back. You're going to come into a lunge. Take the blocks by your right ankle. Make sure that the right big toe ball, inner heel are actively pressing. Right shin bone hugging in. Think about right inner thigh, left inner thigh, hugging into center. Really hugging into center. And just breathe, breathe, breathe. Hug that right sits bone into the left inner thigh. Left hip bone slightly more forward. Stretch the chest forward. And from here, all I'm going to do is hinge back a little bit, use this back heel, press the back heel, and don't even worry about fully straightening that front leg. And then keep pressing that back heel deep in the right quad forward into the right knee. I always like to do this very deliberately because it opens me up so much more. Okay, I keep pressing the left heel back, lift the hips, drag that right butt back, but use the left heel to help you drag it back. Stretch the chest forward. Reach that right big toe forward. Okay. One more time. Move that right quadricep forward as you press the left heel back, back, back. Good, good, good. Okay. From here, you're going to open up. Okay. So when I do this lengthening forward, lengthening back, my whole groin just really feels like it's being opened. You're going to come back into plank. Don't come into chaturanga just yet. Hold your lower abs in. If you've got it in you, you can just hold plank, or if it feels good, dip the left hip down a little bit, not just sagging, very controlled. The side of your obliques are controlling it. Come back to center, dip the right hip down a little bit, come back to center, okay, dip the left hip a little bit, and then the right, and just feel the obliques really light up. One more each side. And when you're ready, either knees down to the floor or legs straight, chaturanga all the way down. Roll the thigh bones inward toward each other. Tuck the pelvis. From here, come into a sphinx. Think about not shortening the back of the neck. Back of the neck is long. Hug your elbows towards center. Press down into the mat. Pull your chest forward. But if the tuck is really strong, you're going to feel a nice opening along the belly and the abdomen. Take one more deep breath here. Good. We're going to flow a little faster after this, but this is more like warm up for all the, the requisite parts. Tuck the toes under, hug your elbows in, shoulder blades down. Press yourselves back. Okay. Come into downward dog. And from here, bend the knees a little bit, and then press your hips back, back, back. As much as you can. You're not using your arms to press, you're using your butt and your hamstrings to press. And once you've pressed back, maybe release the heels back and down without pushing the knees back, okay? So the same leg that was in front, we're gonna pick up that leg. Check, did I fall into my left side? Can I keep my right hip level? Can I reach the right heel back, 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 or the right toes, whichever feels good. Pull your left heel back too. So you get the left leg hamstrings to stretch. And then swing that right leg over. If you have access, one big step. If it's too difficult, from here, half a step, grab your foot, make the rest of the step, okay? And then from here, you're gonna sit back down into that lunge. If you need the blocks to help you, grab the blocks, put some weight on them, but really put the weight on the standing leg, okay? And then come forward, take a forward fold, take a breath. Good. Second side. Bend the knees a couple of inches, press the heels down, re-extend the legs slowly, slowly. Lengthen the hamstrings up. Stretch the chest forward, open up this mid-upper back. And from here, go ahead and take an inhale, half lift, grab onto your blocks. Go ahead and take this right leg, shoot it back, come into a lunge, okay? And if the first step isn't long enough, make sure you can slide back a little bit, keep the hips low. Again, my big toe ball, inner heel, really actively down on the mat. Hug your inner thighs to center. Keep pressing the right heel back. The back leg is long, long, long. Stretch your chest forward, okay? So as I press this right heel back, I'm gonna lift my hips up a little bit and I'm gonna drag this left hip back, 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 but use that right heel to help it. Even though the right hip is trying to pull forward, left hip is pulling back. Use the heel to get you deeper into the back of this leg. Take a breath here. My right heel continues to press back as I guide my left quadricep forward now, forward into the knee, forward into the knee, deepening this lunge, letting the hips get lower to the ground by the two quads moving away from each other, okay? Again, right heel presses back, lift the hips first, drag that left hip back. Think about hamstrings and sits bones pulling back, right heel pulling back to help it. Keep that big toe ball down. Lengthen that big toe so that you stretch the top of the foot as well. And then from here, one more time, press that right heel back, move the left quad slowly, slowly, slowly into the left knee to get this lunge to open up just a little bit more. And then from there, go ahead and open up the blocks, okay? Now, your second plank. First time, we did the hips back and forth. Can we now, that everything is the same, okay? Your plank is nice and strong. You bend the knees just a little bit, scoop the belly, press the heels back. Hold the abs in, bend the knees until they almost touch the floor, and then use the heels to scoop back up, scoop back up. One more time, hold the abs in, bend the knees a little bit, scoop back up. If you feel good, you want to do two more, come with me. If not, chaturanga all the way down to the floor. Hollow out the belly, scoop, scoop, scoop. Hollow out the belly, pull your belly into your spine, press, press, press the heels back. And then chaturanga all the way down to the floor. Okay? Now, you can do Sphinx one more time or Cobra. But the prerequisite is always roll those thigh bones in, reach the big toes back. If you're doing Cobra, draw the shoulder blades down your back. Your fingertips lined up to the tops of your shoulders. You keep tucking the butt out of your lower back. If Sphinx feels good, go back to Sphinx. On your exhale, slowly come back down. Tuck the toes under, hug the elbows in. And after these two, when we flow again and you feel like doing up dog, go for it, okay? And again, I come back into downward dog. And again, I can pedal one knee and then the other, as long as I'm pressing my hips back. As long as I'm not sagging or dropping the shoulders. Get into a nice firm down dog. Weight evenly distributed between two hands. Pick up that left leg. So you are putting some more weight on that right leg, but you're not falling to the right, okay? And from there, keep dragging that right leg back. Take this left knee, swing it forward, plant it in between the hands, a little more to the left. Okay, so you're back in this lunge, your right heel is reaching back firmly, either using blocks or your hands on the floor, but really use the strength of your leg. Push off, right leg meets the left, take a forward fold, bend the knees one more time, hug the shin bones in, Lift and widen the sits bones. Stretch your chest forward and down a little bit. Good. And then pull your quadriceps up. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. Draw the shoulder blades down, extend through the triceps, and exhale, bring your arms down. Find all four corners of the feet. Don't push the kneecaps back. Draw the lower belly in, relax the shoulders, take a breath. Start in chair pose now. Do not let the knees shoot forward. Instead, you hold your lower abs in, keep your spine long, shoot the butt back like you're about to sit into a chair. Your knees will eventually go forward a little bit, but you don't load your knees by shifting them forward. Pull the butt back and down as much as you can. Don't dip into these hip creases, okay? So you can choose what you want to do with your hands, but they're not as important right now as to get the alignment of the legs. Hug your shin bones in, widen the knees. Your feet are going to want to turn out because the outer lines of the legs are tight. Can you turn your heels out extra? Shin bones hug in, knees wide, hold the lower abs in. You can bring your hands in front of the heart in prayer. Press the palms together, shoulder blades wide and down the back. Or you can reach your arms forward, okay? We're not staying super long. Can we really spread the toes? Can we really hug the shin bones in? Can we really reach the arms and keep the spine as straight as possible? Don't arch the low back. On the exhale, you're gonna dive down, lengthen the hamstrings, okay? And then you're gonna take this left leg, reach it back, come back into your lunge again. We're gonna add another layer. So from here, what I would like you to do is once you sit into this lunge, hug this right shin bone in, drag this right sits bone toward the left inner thigh. Bend that left knee just a little bit. And then press the heel back. Okay? And I was doing this in the hip opening series. Think about the heel pressing back to re-extend the leg, not using the knee. Every time I release and really press the heel, I feel the whole quad turning on because this is what you're going to need going to the next one. So as I press the heel back, let's do one more, okay? And I really reach the heel back. Now, I push into that front heel. Lift the hips up, just like we did earlier, but we're gonna add on even more. Drag that right hip back. Use this left heel to press back. Now, you're gonna go back a few times, using the weight of the body on the ball of the heel. Can I lift the heel so my hips hinge forward a little? My right hip's still trying to come back, but my body weight hinges forward a little. Then I press that left heel straight back, use that to guide my right butt to move back some more, which hits the right hamstrings a little more. Come forward, push off the ball of the foot, and then press the heel back and let the hips come with you. Do it one more time. Come up onto the ball of the foot, drag that right butt back with the left heel. If it feels good, flex the whole right foot off the floor. I know you can't see with my blocks in the way, but like this, okay? Curl the pinky toe towards your head. And then slowly, when you're ready to come back down, you're gonna place that right leg down. Keep pushing the left heel back, just like we did on the last set. Move the right quadricep forward into the right knee. Now, take your left hand, lower the block, roll the left thigh bone in. As soon as you do the inward rotation, the right foot's going to want to roll out a little bit. The whole knee wants to wing out. Again, it's the tightness of the outer hip. Hug the shin bone in. I don't even need you to really twist. You can twist if you want to, but twist from rolling the thigh bone in, hugging the inner thighs to center, stretch the chest open, twist from the ribs. Don't just lead with the head, okay? As your shin bone comes in, your ribs twist against that shin bone, twist against the thigh bone, against the inner line. So it's a much sharper twist and it's much more in your butt. Go ahead and take 2 more deep breaths. My left leg continues to press back. Open up that whole right outer hip, okay? As you release, open back up. This time we're gonna flow straight through. So the right leg comes back, come into plank, chaturanga all the way down. For those of you who've been practicing longer, if you wanna do like a one-legged plank, meaning lifting the right leg, you can as well. And I'll show it on the other side. Roll the thigh bones in, draw the shoulders back. If you're still trying to warm up your back, don't go too deep. If you're ready for up dog, go for it. As you exhale, tuck the toes under, reach back, down dog. And again, every down dog you go into, make it an instance where you can go a little deeper. Notice when I really, really press, keep my shoulders active, and I really, really press my hips back, my spine opens. It really lengthens, but so much of it is carried through the legs, okay? And again, it was my left leg that was forward. So I raise my left leg, and if it feels good to you, you don't have to do this part, okay? Come forward into plank, pull the knee toward the nose, reach back. If you're not doing this part, just lift the left leg up and keep it up, okay? Knee to elbow. And then one last time, left knee to right elbow. Hold it. One more shooting up. And then exhale, swing that left leg forward. Come into a lunge, nice and deep in the lunge. And I think I just messed it up because it was my right leg that was forward. Oh well, it totally works, okay? So just slight change of plans in real time. So from here, I'm in this lunge, and I'm gonna step my right leg forward to meet the left. Use blocks if you need to. Let the upper body hang. Soften the knees, and slowly, slowly lengthen the hamstrings up. Stretch the chest forward. So this is what I call human yoga, not Instagram pretty yoga. And even if I didn't do the leg that I was intending to, we'll make something out of it. Okay? From here, bend into the knees, hug your shin bones in. And if it's too much to come into chair pose from the ground, stand up and go back into chair pose. But if it feels okay, anchor the heels, hold your belly in, pull the butt back, lift the torso. It is a little more challenging coming up this way. And then find your way back into chair, okay? If that was too much, what you would do is come back to standing, okay? Pull the butt back again. Lower the glutes. Hug the shin bones and widen the knees. We're going to take one more breath here. Draw the shoulders back. Spread your toes. And then slowly dive forward, opening up the back line of the body now. This is real time yoga. Okay. And from here, take an inhale. Stretch your chest forward. Okay. Grab onto the blocks and slide them by your ankles. Step the right leg back and slowly come back into a lunge. Okay, so I know I got the right leg right this time. Hug your left shin bone in, hug the inner thighs to center, okay? And just like what we did last time, think about dragging this left sits bone into the right inner thigh. Think about this right hip moving forward a little bit. Really think about this back leg. Bend the knee a little bit. Don't push the knee back. Instead, press through this right heel. It's a completely different feeling if you try to extend the leg through the pressing of the heel. Soften the knee again. Push through the heel as if there's a wall behind you, like my hamstrings are quivering, my quads are really trying to open. Okay, we'll do two more. Soften the knee, and you don't have to make it as dramatic as what I'm doing, or you can if it feels good to you. Okay, and then one last one. Again, do not compensate using the knee. Really press the heel back. Now push down into that front heel, big toe ball, lift the hips. Slowly, as you pull this hip back, use the right heel to pull the hips back a little more. So this is different from lunging forward and moving back. This is more controlling it with the back leg, yeah? Now, keep your hips steady. The hips move now with the heel. I'm gonna come up onto the ball of my right foot, come forward a little. As I pull back, think about as my right heel pulls back, my left hip pulls back with it. Now I feel much more left hamstrings. I feel the top of my left foot. Okay, do it again. Breathe as you're doing it. Okay, lean forward, pull the right heel back, drag the left foot back with it. Let's do one last one. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, press the right heel back. If you're already like, oh my gosh, this is too much, don't go any deeper. If you feel good, curl the toes back towards your head. Always try to get the pinky toes towards your head as you do so, okay? And now, take one more full breath here. Try to square off the hips, hug into the inner thighs. My right heel continues to do its job of really pressing down. Lower the left foot to the ground. Now, slowly and deliberately move that left quadricep forward into the left knee. Really move it forward. And then really think about right heel pressing back. lower the right hand block onto the 4-inch height. Okay, I'm gonna move this so you can see. As soon as I start to spin this right thigh bone inward, this leg wants to roll out. Can I hug the leg in? Can I contain the shin bone? Can I really roll the thigh bone in, stretch the chest forward, okay? I'm not twisting from the low back. I'm hugging the shin in, twisting my torso against the shin, against the midline. Even if you just squeeze your inner thighs together, you're gonna feel a whole ton more happening in this left outer glute. Go ahead and take another deep breath. Don't dip into the hips too much, okay? Like don't let this hip crease be the dumping ground. Good. As you exhale, slowly come back out. From here, open up. Step this left leg back. Okay. Take a flow if you want to. I'm going to get into up dog now if you want to follow me. Okay. Or don't. Pull forward. Stretch the chest forward. And as you exhale, press the thigh bones back. Come into down dog. So tempting to just press your chest toward the thighs and sag into your shoulders. Don't do that. Keep the inner armpits deep. Your chest will move more toward the thighs when your thighs actually move back, not by you pushing the chest there, yeah? This is so bad for the shoulder joint if you just press the chest. Can I press the thigh bones? Do you see the difference? As I press the thigh bones, my spine is opening. My chest naturally goes toward my thighs, but it's a very dynamic movement. It's not just me shoving. It's very active and controlled. Okay, since we made that mistake on the last side, we won't call it a mistake. We'll just say it was intentional. Go ahead and take that right leg up. Don't fall into the left hip. Either just shoot it up and hold it, or send it forward. Knee to chest. Send it back. Knee to right elbow. Hold your abs in. Send it back up. Knee to left elbow. And then send it back up one last time. Okay, don't lock the standing knee. Bend that top leg, step it forward. Reclaim the lunge. Okay, make sure you are steady first before you do the next step. And again, find your blocks. Whenever you're ready, step that back leg forward. Let the upper body hang. Go ahead and take a breath. Instead of coming straight up into chair pose, okay, I want you to soften the knees. And so you're kind of halfway in chair pose, but this time we're just going to stand all the way up. Good. Firm the legs and release the arms and take a breath. I'm going to have you do one more sequence where I call it's kind of a leg killer sequence, but it's really, really good. Okay. We're going to come in and out of chair pose again. So you got plenty of chances to work on it. Just don't let the knees shoot forward. Don't let the knees knock in. Take a moment. Draw the shoulder blades down. Okay. Find the breath. From here, one more time. Shoot the sits bones back. Don't dump your lower back and hold your lower abs. As the butt moves back, your shin bones are hugging in, okay? Reach the arms forward if that feels good to you, or palms in front of you. Press the palms together. Do let the quadriceps burn, but don't let the belly sag onto the thighs. Hold the belly in. Press into the heels really, really deeply, okay? We're not staying long. From here, if you have the balance, okay, if not, you take the blocks up and you fold forward and grab the blocks a little. If you have the balance, go ahead and take this left leg, reach it back. Now, check. Is my leg too out to the side or too in? Can I hug the midline? Can I take this lunge a little longer? From here, okay, I'm gonna bend that back knee. Don't just dump into it. Bend it, press the heel back, draw the sits bone up, the pubis bone up, and you come into not quite a crescent lunge just yet because my back leg is bent, okay? Now, square off the hips. My back heel keeps working. And this is a combination of some stuff I've been doing in bar class. I feel so good for the strength and the flexibility and stability of my body. I hug my inner thighs in, like we did in the lunge before. Don't shove the knee back. Press the heel back a little bit to activate this quad so that you're not crunching into the lower back. Let it go. Press the heel back slowly. You're not going to fully straighten that leg because you're tucking, yeah? Draw the pubis bone in and then let it go. One more time. Press the heel back. Zip up the pubis bone. Now reach your arms up. If you can keep your pelvis neutral and take the leg back just a smidge more without arching your lower back, do it. If not, stay exactly as you are. Hug your inner thighs, and your legs should be already burning at this point because you're working so hard on it. Okay? Take one more deep breath. Right quadricep moving forward, left quadricep moving back through the heel. On your next exhale, use that back leg. Straighten it, lift the hips. Use the front leg to straighten yourself back up. Okay? Here's the great part. Now I want you to think about working the hamstrings and the glute of this front leg. How you do that, you have to shift your weight a little more. So now I'm going to lean forward slightly, put my hands onto the hips. If your stance feels too long, shorten it a little bit. My right knee is pretty much right above the ankle, not shooting forward from it. It's still my back leg being the lever. Can I press the heel back? Okay. So I'm gonna do this. My heel presses back. So my hips lean back a little, and then I lean forward a little bit. But I push so hard into this front heel as I press back and press forward, press back and press forward. What I actually feel is my right butt and hamstrings being loaded like crazy. Hold the lower belly in, press forward, press back using your back heel. We had that practice already in pyramid pose. Do it one more time. And it's okay if it's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Just don't dump into this hip, okay? One more time. Stand up on the front leg, zip up the pubis bone, neutralize the pelvis, okay? Slowly take your back leg back a little more. You're coming into this lunge one more time. Reach the arms up. You're almost done with the side, okay? Exhale, dive forward. Go ahead and grab the blocks. Take your time, but you're not just dumping all your body weight on it because your legs are tired. You're using the arms to help you. Lift the hips up. Keep the right big toe ball down, inner heel down. Again, use this back heel. Press the heel back. So you're finding the hamstrings again on the front leg to stretch them out. Now, you're so used to using this back leg. Can I roll this thigh bone in? Hug the left thigh bone into the right inner thigh. Hug the right sits bone into the left inner thigh. So my lower body is already in a twist. My pelvis is in a twist. My left hip bone's hugging the right inner thigh. If this is already really turning on that right outer hamstring, outer glute, don't do anything else. Just hang out here. If it feels good to you, and also I forgot to say, take the block a little closer to frame that front leg. If it feels good, take your ribs and add a little more twist with the ribs. My left heel is still pressing back. My hand is on my sacrum, or my thumb can stick into this hip crease and drag this hip crease back a little more. Big toe ball down, inner heel down. Whew. Hug your inner thighs together. Oh, I really feel this outer leg. Okay, and now here's the bonus. You come back down. If you are done, you're like, I don't want to do anything else. Okay, just step back into down dog, take a child's pose, take a resting pose, anything that feels good to you. If you still feel okay here, I'm going to bend into that front leg, find the inner leg, big toe ball, inner heel to light up the inner leg. My blocks are about 6 to 10 inches in front of my front right foot. Float yourself back up into warrior three. Drag the right butt back, stretch the chest forward, take this back leg, reach it back, reach it back, reach along, stretch the chest forward, okay? Good. And then keep taking that right butt back. Keep dragging that right butt back. Take one more deep breath. Good. And wherever it is that you are, lower that left leg, put it next to the right, do a little bit of side to side shake. That was a lot for your legs if you were doing it right. Okay. And I emphasize the word right. If you weren't, it's probably like, oh, I'm partly confused. Don't worry. This is why it's a video. You can always come back, pause, do it again. It will make sense. Okay. From here, bend the knees again, drop the upper body, and my ear pod keeps falling out. That's another one of those real life yoga things. Okay. Press the heels down, lengthen the hamstrings again. Take an inhale, stretch the chest forward. As you exhale, fold. And again, you can either choose to stand up, come back into chair pose, or go into chair pose right away. I like it this way. I mean, I like it both ways. But here, you really have to take your belly off your thighs. Really have to lift your torso. Really have to think about hugging the legs in. And then from there again, either arms forward or hands in front of the heart. Just stay for 2 deep breaths. Make the legs strong. Hold the abs and draw the shoulders down the back. Good. Put more weight into those heels. So it's not just your quads screaming at you. You want the hamstrings and the glutes to scream at you too, okay? From here, if you need the blocks, okay, you put your hands on the blocks. If you don't, you step that right leg back, you come into a lunge. So this lunge is a little bit shorter than if you were to go lunge all the way down. But start here. Bend that back knee. Zip up that pubis bone. Upright your torso. This is the most important thing. You're not going to be able to straighten that back leg without arching or dipping the lower back too much, unless you feel really, really open, okay? Square off the hips first, bend that back knee, keep zipping up the pubis bone, keep your pelvis neutral, and then press, 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 press that right heel back. Maybe you almost straighten, but don't let that be why you're doing it. Really think about the right quad activating. Bend the knee, press, press, press that heel back again. Keep your pelvis neutral. One more time. Bend the knee, press, press, press that heel back. Keep squaring off the hips. And after you've done it 3 times, then you reach your arms up. Bend the knee one last time. Keep scooping. Press it back so that right quad is screaming at you. Okay? Draw your shoulders down. Lift the chest. Okay? And then from here, use that back leg. Press, press, press so your hips are lifted. Use that right glute to lift you. From here, because we're so used to using the back heel and the back leg to propel you, we're going to do it again. Hands back onto your hips. Sink a little lower. If your stance feels too long, shorten it just a little bit though. Okay? When I do this, and my torso is leaning forward, I'm already loading my left butt. Now, can I not dig into this left hip crease? Can I take my torso off of this hip crease, even though I'm really loading this front leg? Big toe ball, inner heel. Those are key. Use that right heel. I'm pressing back, lifting forward so my hips go forward a little bit. Press back so my hips go back a little. My hips are really quiet. It's the same exact thing as pyramid pose, but your front leg is bent. And as a result, instead of stretching your hamstrings and butt, you're working the crap out of them, okay? Oops. So take a moment. This is what happens when I don't focus on one spot, okay? Do a couple more. Slow, slow, slow. And this just goes to show you nobody's perfect. It's all a practice. I'm sweating just along with you. One more time. Move forward. Pull, pull, pull this heel back, okay? And then sit a little bit deeper. Zip up the pubis bone. Press the heel back one more time. Come into your crescent lunge. Lift the chest, lift the chest. Now we get to stretch out that front leg. Dive forward, and my left leg is like, oh my God, why are you doing this to me? So take a moment, okay? Again, try not to dip into this front hip. And one more time, you're gonna use that back leg as you press the heel back, lift the hips, press the heel back to drag that left foot back, back, back. Keep finding the big toe ball inner heel anchored, okay? Even from here, you wanna hug your two inner thighs towards center. Spin that right thigh bone inward now. Really spin that thigh bone in. Right hip bone hugs the left inner thigh. Narrow the two hip points so it feels like you're just really hugging to center. If this is already lighting up this outer line, hip hamstring, nothing else, just hang out here. There's so much that you can do, just that. Think about taking this outer shin bone, hugging it in. So you're so sharp on this inner line. If you really want to go deeper, you take that block, right hand block, walk it a little closer, roll from the ribs to twist just a little bit more. Keep pressing the back heel back. Hand on the sacrum or in the hip crease to drag that left hip crease back a little more. Take one more full breath. Big inhale, back leg is strong. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. And then slow, slow, slow unravel. Gently move that left quadricep forward. Okay? And again, here you can say, well, I'm done. I'm just going to take a down dog and call it a day, or take a child's pose. Or you come forward, shift your weight forward into warrior 3. Take that back leg up. Make sure that your hands are stacked right underneath your shoulders. I mean, this has to do with torso length too, so adjust for yourself, okay? And all I want you to do is just hold a little bit and get a little more stretch out of this left leg hamstring. lift out of this hip crease, stretch the chest forward, take that back leg, shoot it back. Use the bottom of that right butt to lift the hamstrings and lift the leg a little bit more. Take one more full breath. Don't lock the standing knee. Stay on that inner heel, inner leg, and then release that right leg. Bring it down. Shake it out a little bit, especially if your body is like, okay. Let the upper body hang. Take a breath here. You can take the feet a little bit wider. Do a little bit of this wide bend and re-extend that we started with. Whatever feels good to you. And then when you are ready, you can either roll up, okay, one vertebra at a time, which not something I like to do, but I know many of you find that it actually helps and it feels really good. I'm just going to show you how I normally come up, which is hinging from the hips, reaching the arms up, and then slowly release the arms back down. Come back to hip width if the feet are wide apart. Take a breath here, relax the jaw, the throat, and find stillness in the center line of your body. We're going to do one more round of standing leg work. Okay. Take your time with it. Do as much as you can, as little as you can, or if you want to, modify anything that feels good to you. Okay. Bring your hands onto your hips. Bring the feet closer to each other so the big toes touch, heels are a little bit wider apart. Your first choice is, again, I'm standing on my big toe ball inner heel of my right foot. I'm unweighing my left leg slowly. So I'm not standing and putting weight on the left side anymore, but I'm not falling to the right side either, okay? Don't jam that standing knee. From here, think about levelizing your pelvis so the left hip is not coming up, but just use the quad, the psoas, the abs to pull up that left knee. Put your hand on the outside of the knee to help hold it, or underneath, whichever helps. If that feels good to you and you want to go a little bit deeper, keep the spine tall. You're going to hinge forward a little, okay? Reach down and grab the big toe. But once you pick up the leg and the knee is higher, the hip is going to want to come up. Can you keep dropping that hip so you're not dumping into the right outer hip? If this is already a lot to work with, dropping the left butt and lifting the chest, stay there for 3 more breaths. If you can go a little deeper, start to kick your left leg out. Doesn't have to go all the way straight. If you have the hamstring flexibility, then extend through the heel, but keep dropping that left hip. Drop that left hip, stand firmly on that right inner thigh. Take one more deep breath, lift the chest. And as you exhale, okay, let go of the foot. Try to do it with as much control as possible. Extend the leg back, okay? Now, before you even come down fully, you make a choice as to whether you're going to keep your hand down and do the twisting lunge or take the elbow over. It's easier to try to get your torso off the thigh. So if you're doing the arm version, swing that left arm up and over, slide that heel back at the same time. The lower your hips are to the ground, the easier it is for you to balance. Press the palms together here. Wing the elbows out. Your forearms in a straight line. Take this back leg, extend it, roll the thigh bone in. Your left elbow is pressing against the lower right thigh, thigh pressing back against it. And if you're doing this variation, it's very much just the same thing as you started with before. And don't twist just from the neck, twist from the ribs a little bit more, okay? Whichever variation you're in, hug your inner thighs together. Keep yourself really, really active and steady. Now, take your time. Don't dump into that front hip. Unravel first, either here or when your hands are down. Turn that back heel down. Take a look at the back leg. Can you turn the thigh bone in a little more? Can you get the heel to align with the inner arch of the foot? You can either come up into warrior two with the leg still bent, meaning your right quad moves into the right knee, move that quad away from the hip, draw your hip up using the back leg, lower the hip, come back into warrior two. If that was too much for you, from here, press into that front heel, straighten that front leg. If you're already in warrior two, don't adjust, just stay in it, okay? Levelize the pelvis, move that inner quad, move that inner thigh into the inner knee. Keep lowering the opposite hip, reaching the arms out. Back arm works harder, okay? Pause here, sit a little bit deeper. Try to levelize the pelvis as much as you can. Think about lowering the right hip now, okay? And or the back hip, whichever leg you're on. You're gonna take an inhale, reach this top arm. As I extend the quad away from me, I'm gonna move away from it. I'm gonna lengthen out this left side of my body, or the right side, okay? Breathe, breathe, breathe. Keep lengthening the quad away. We're not staying anything for too long. You're gonna come back to center now, okay? Choice one, if you've got the stability, keep thinking about this quad moving out. Let the torso come on the inside of the quad. You come and dive down into warrior two. Keep big toe ball in or heel down, and then take your arms back. If this is too intense for you, take the blocks, push down, lift yourself off of that hip a little bit, and then move the quad forward again. And then drop your torso. Drop is the wrong word. You're pressing the torso against the thigh. You're not dumping into this hip crease. You're not just collapsing the whole body weight on it. It's active. My thigh bone is moving forward. My body is lengthening toward diagonally the midline. And if you're feeling compression, it's because you're just dumping into the leg. If that's the case, come up a little bit. Really think about moving that quad forward and just focus on that for now. Stay for 2 more breaths, okay? I know this is intense. And again, when we come out, okay, we're gonna cook the legs just a little more. And this whole term of cooking the legs is exactly what we do in bar, and it feels really good. Now, from here, I'm gonna lower my arms, or if they were already on the blocks, put the hand on the block, 6-inch height, and lift the hips out of it a little bit if it's again burning too much and you feel like it's too shaky. If you're good, keep the leg down. Press the arm against the leg. Tuck the butt under. Open up the ribs. Take your top arm up. Remember that side bend we did. Can we turn the tricep in? Reach the arm up and over. Again, I'm not just dumping into the leg. I can take my arm off and I'm staying put, okay? And extend the side angle. No one loves this pose. It's just so hard on the hip. It just requires so much strength and stamina. Reach that tricep away. Keep tucking the right butt under. Do use some force or strength of the arm to help you. Good. On your next exhale, slowly release. Come back to center. Take a flow, or you can skip the flow and go straight into down dog. From here, if you're doing a flow, chaturanga, up dog if that feels good to you, and then down dog. And just take a few deep breaths. I've forgotten how difficult it is sometimes to practice and activate so deeply and talk through all of it. Breathe, everybody. Yes, let the body calm, let the heart rate lower a little bit, return back to your breath, okay? We're gonna work on that leg some more. This time, I'm not gonna screw it up. Take an inhale, raise that right leg back up, or the leg that was in front, the leg that you were just working the crap out of, okay? Bend that knee, swing it forward. Now, you find that lunge, you grab the block, put the block on the outside of the shin, get the big toe ball down, inner heel down. From there, you turn your back heel down again. So it looks like I'm about to come into warrior two, but you're not. It's triangle pose. Big toe ball, inner heel. Lengthen that inner thigh away into the hip now. Tuck the pelvis under. So most of us, when we do this, our body weight tends to fall back a little. So if you were to take your hands off the block and you feel like you're falling back, shift your weight forward into the middle line a little more. So if you took your hand off the block, you're staying still. The inner thigh is very active, okay? From here, keep moving the butt away, but the right butt, the one that the front leg is on, okay? Keep moving it away, keep tucking it under, keep the side body long, turn the ribs to the ceiling, reach the left arm up. And if you desire, you can just stay right there. If it feels good and you want to, you turn that tricep in. Reach it up and over one more time to get this outer leg. Hug everything to center so you're not pushing anything out of the way. You're not dipping into any hips or legs or groins or any soft tissue, okay? You're standing on the firmness of the legs. Now, take your time. Here's what I suggest. When you're coming out of this, you can make it very simple and just briefly hold a warrior three. If you want to go a little deeper, you're going to go from warrior three to half moon. But here are your choices. I'm going to grab my blocks. I'm going to turn this back leg. And from here, I'm going to take my blocks about, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 inches. Again, it has to do with more the length of your torso. Okay, keep your blocks about shoulder width. Push off the back leg. And if you need a moment to find that inner thigh, place this leg down. Big toe ball, inner heel, hug the pelvis and pull the pelvis back, and then find warrior three. So if I find that I need to move my blocks forward a little bit more to accommodate for the length of my upper body, go for it, okay? Now, we're gonna eventually move into half moon, but can we get the big toe ball, inner heel down so firmly? Take this leg, don't let it dangle, reach it back. Now I open up the hip. Now my pelvis is stacked on top of this right leg, but it's not on the right outer butt. It's still on this inner leg. The more you tuck the butt, which I'll show you on the other side, the more integrity you're gonna have on your inner leg. Now, do a couple. Roll that left thigh bone in, close the hip. So you get a stretch into that right outer hip. Open it back up. Roll it back down. The top leg is extended this whole time. And then open it back up. When you're standing so firmly on the inner leg and this hip closes, you're actually opening up the TFL, tensor fascia lata, on the standing leg really well, okay? And the IT band. Now, if you feel like that was enough, come back down, shake it out, take a down dog, child's pose, anything you want to. Or if you're staying with me, now you move into your final extension opening. If it feels good, take one arm off, the outside arm, and then from here, keep tucking that right butt under, stretching the chest forward. Reach this top leg long. Don't reach it behind you, reach it straight, meaning this way, not behind you, this way, okay? And if it feels okay for you here, keep thinking about firming the top of the butt, firming the hamstring to the bottom of the butt. Maybe lift the leg just a little bit more. Maybe take the top arm up. Don't force it if it doesn't feel good. And then when you are ready, soften that top leg, gently bring it down. Don't grip the toe, and slowly place it next to the right leg. Shake it out. You shouldn't be feeling a ton of tightness in the right outer hip because you're standing on your inner leg. But in case you do, you try to, this is how we're going to get out of it. Bend the knees a couple of inches, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. So in our forward fold again. Now take your blocks to diagonally forward and to the left. Bend the left knee, pull the right hip back. Or if you're not, if you did the opposite, you're pulling the hip of the leg that you were just standing on. That leg is straight, you're pulling that hip back and you're moving the blocks in the opposite direction, okay? Breathe up and down into that hip, into that side body, and I'll open all the grippiness if there was any. Good, and we're only gonna do it on one side because we'll hit the other side. Bring it back to center. Anchor the legs down. Don't lock the knees. Hinge from the hips, come all the way up. Reach the arms up, shoulder blades down, release, and take a breath. Let's do the same exact thing to the other side, okay? Now, you don't have to go as fast. You don't have to hold as long. You don't have to do all the poses. Just choose the ones that work for you. You can always come back, retry day to day, okay? Bring the big toe balls together, heels a little wider apart. Draw the navel in, hands on the hips. Take the weight off the right leg slowly. You're standing on the left inner leg. Pick up the knee, and you can just play with that. You can grab the outside of the knee, work on dropping that right hip. And if you want to take it a little bit farther, okay, once you've got the knee, reach down and grab the big toe. And once you've got that big toe, lift the chest, drop the hip again. So at every step you check in, do I want to go farther? No? Then stay put, okay? And the final part is maybe you start to kick that right leg out. Maybe you don't kick it all the way. But the difficult part is as you extend the heel, you gotta drop that butt at the same time. You gotta keep the chest lifted. So what's the hindrance is gonna be the length of your hamstring and the calf. The more open you are, the easier this is, okay? Let me stop talking so I can find my balance. From here, slow, slow, slow. Let it go, okay? Take this leg back. Immediately, your body wants to open this hip and dump into this one. Don't let it, okay? I'm gonna show you the back of my body so you can see the alignment here. Square off your hips. You want to even rotate this back hip in. So it doesn't matter if your hand's coming to the ground or across. Roll that thigh bone in to help with the twist. And then if you're doing this variation, keep pressing the back heel back to lower your hips to the ground. The lower your hips are to the ground, the more balance you're going to have. Hug your inner thighs together, stretch the chest forward, press the back heel back. Take another couple of deep breaths here. Keep pressing the back heel. Push the knee against the forearm or elbow back against the knee. And then from here, unravel. Take that back leg, turn it down. Check to make sure you're either heel to heel or the front heel is in with lined up to the inner sole of the back foot. So again, you either push into the front heel, come back up, rejigger your hips and move your way into warrior two. Or if you were okay here, deepen that inner groin, pull yourself back up, whichever you want to. This definitely requires more strength coming from the bottom up, okay, with the knee bent. So take it slow, especially if alignment is an issue, come back up to standing first and then reclaim warrior two. So take a couple of breaths from the back. Okay, you know what to do with the arms. So you do with the arms. From the back, this hip really wants to come up. Can I lower it? Can I scoop up the front hip? Can I move that quadricep into the front knee? Can I work this back arm a little more without shortening? And then from here, lower this hand, flip the left one, continue to move the quad into the knee, extend through the side body into goddess warrior. Think about that tricep work we did in the very beginning. Move the quad forward, keep this long. One more deep inhale. And keep thinking about lowering the back hip. And then from here, you come back to center. Don't dig into this hip crease. Rather, it's the quad moving away, torso moving in. So if you feel strong here, so if you don't, grab your blocks right away, put some weight on the blocks. And if you feel like you're digging into your hip, come out of the hip a little bit, reestablish, deepen in the groin, okay? Tuck the butt under. And then if you can, those of you who are able to do this without digging into that front hip, draw the shoulder blades down, let your upper body come through. So it actually should feel like your quad's moving one way, your body's moving the other, like two opposite trains, not like you're collapsing into the front hip. Take two more full breaths here. I mean, there's no denying how much your front leg is working. Your front hip is working, but it should not feel compressed, okay? Release wherever you are. Take that left hand or the inside hand, put the block up against the ankle. Use your arm to push the knee open. Keep creating space in this hip even though you're down on it. Scoop the butt under. Move the sits bone under. Slowly turn the ribs a little, but you're not shortening this left side of the body. Reach the arm up, turn the tricep in, extend that right arm up and over. Lift this inner thigh, okay? Keep scooping this butt under. Reach through the pinky finger. Use this left arm to push open the knee a little more. And breathe. Try not to collapse into that front hip. Turn the chest to the ceiling a tiny bit more. Good, good, good. Okay, as gracefully as you can, come back out. Turn back into a lunge. Open up the blocks. And then from here, you take a flow or skip the flow altogether or take a baby flow, low cobra, not full up dog, or half a flow, coming into child's pose. As you can tell, I'm just making it up as I go, okay? And that's so much of what this practice is. Once you understand the alignment, once you're able to figure out what works for your body or not, you do what feels good to you. You let the practice serve you. All right. Take one more deep breath here. If you're in down dog with me, if you're in child's pose, feel free to stay. And then I'm going to finish up on this left leg. Take an inhale, reach it up. This is the same leg that was just in front. I swing it forward. Okay, I find my block, put it on the outside of the shin bone. Turn my back heel down. Again, I check for alignment. Heel into the arch of the back foot, front heel into back arch. From here, again, So I'm not crunching the left side of my body. I'm moving the sits bone back and under, lengthening the front leg, big toe ball inner heel, lengthening the inner thigh. From here, again, I'm not going to fall back and lean onto my hand. Rather, I shift my weight much more to center. If I took my hand off, I'm standing on my inner thighs, okay? The hand is there to guide you, but not to weight bear too much. Tuck the butt under, turn the chest open, reach that right arm up, breathe, breathe, breathe. And again, if your triangle pose isn't as deep, if this is too much for you, stack the blocks like I've shown you in so many other times. I assume that at this point you know, okay? Turn the tricep in, reach that top arm up and over. Same time as you pull this hip back, reach the arm in the opposite direction. Again, watch that you're not falling back. Good. Press in, whole shoulder blade reaches down into the hand. Keep the trapezius open. Now, finale, okay? You take that top arm down, find your other block, skip this part if it's too much for you, or just do warrior three. You're gonna come forward, put the blocks at the position that feels right to you. You can always slide them a bit. Stand on that left leg, and again, take a moment. If you can't find the inner leg, put this right leg down. Lift out of this hip crease, big toe ball, inner heel, pull the kneecap up. Find that inner leg. It's unmistakable when you're on the inner leg because you feel steady. You feel like you can hold this pose forever. Reach that top leg back, back, back. Okay, now open up the top hip. Don't let this leg dangle. Don't let this leg hang because when you do that, it just loads the lower back. Work that top leg like you mean it. Open the top hip, bring it back down. Roll the thigh bone in so you feel stretch across here in the left hip, okay? Open that top leg again. Roll it back in. Again, don't let that top leg dangle. Reach it back. So you do this like 3-4 times until you can feel, even as I do this, I'm feeling stretch more on my outer hip, not load. And I'm still standing firmly on this inner leg. Maybe on that last opening, I still got my inner leg really sharply. Maybe I take my right hand off and put it on my hip. Maybe as I shoot this right leg back and I'm still standing firmly on my left inner leg, maybe I pull this quadricep up. Turn the chest open, okay? If you got a little more in you, use the bottom of the butt to lift that hamstring up a little more. And maybe you take the top arm up. Spread the shoulder blades apart. Spread the fingers apart, hands apart. Take one more full breath here. Keep the legs so strong. Find that inner leg. And then slowly release that top arm, then that top leg, bring it down. Take a couple of breaths, maybe wiggle it out, okay? And again, if this was angry at you, it's telling you that you're not finding your inner leg yet, but don't be mad at yourself. Take some time, okay? Then re-extend one more time. And then go ahead and slide your blocks in the opposite direction. I'm gonna bend that right knee, push gently, not too much. Press that left hip back to open up the hip. Watch the knee, hug the shin bone in. And as you take the blocks in the opposite direction, breathe all up and down that left outer hip. Good. And feel all that stuff stretch out. Take as long as you want to. And then you come with me only when you're ready to. All right? Bring the blocks back. We're going to do just one last flow to close it out, and then we'll cool down on the floor. Okay? And don't do this flow if it's too much. Do it only if it feels like, hey, it's gonna just feel pretty nice if I do that last flow. And I thought totally forgot. I was gonna show you what the one-legged chaturanga is, but basically it's that. Those of you who already know, you know what to do. Stretch your chest forward, and if you've got it in you to do one-legged chaturangas at this point, power to you. Okay, spread the toes. Go ahead and take 5 deep breaths in down dog. The best down dog you've done all class. Press firmly into the inner parts of your hands. Triceps turn in, biceps out a little bit. Shoulder girdle is strong. Push those thigh bones back. Thigh bones back to really open up that back. Let the heels gently, slightly hover off the floor and stretch those inner heels wide and back, wide and back. Resist at the backs of the knees. Good. and then come down onto all fours. This is the time where you make a choice. You can take a puppy dog, okay? You can take a child's pose. Everything you do sits bones back, okay? Or you can do some cat cows. Anything that feels good to you. I encourage you to not just follow what you're seeing all the time, but listen to what your body is telling you. My body is saying some cat cows will feel good. I'll do some child's pose later. My body is also telling me to do some sideways cat cows. And it's just simply inhaling always the same, exhale, pushing up everything to the right of my spine. Inhaling again, everything to the left of my spine, as many as you like, okay? And when you are done with that, you're just going to slowly make your way onto your backs, okay? We'll finish up with just a little bit more. I promise, just a little bit more of leg work, and then we're done. And I encourage you to have your two core blocks. You don't have to have the blocks, but if you're going to use the blocks, you put your blocks about hip width apart, 4-inch height. You're going to place your feet on top. So I don't put, for me, this is my personal preference, I don't put the foot completely on. I like to put the front corner of my inner heel just off the edge. I feel like that gives me a little better grip. And it also is a place where when I can't see my feet, when I place my feet there, I know I'm in good alignment, okay? And once I have that, I lie back down. If I've moved too far away from my heels, I just slide in a little bit more. Pause there, take a couple of breaths, rest your arms down alongside you, relax the low back, and just have a moment before we do our one last set. All right, you followed me all along this practice, this journey. Let's give it one last go. All right. If you don't have blocks, like I said earlier, your feet are just planted on the floor. It's bridge pose. There's just a little extra zing into your glutes and hamstrings when you have a little more lift underneath you. Okay. So all I'm going to ask you to do, press the big toe balls down. Inner heels are kind of on the edge of the block. Press it in. If you're there on top, great. Okay. From here, I want you to press into your feet. Tuck the pelvis. Like use the bottom of the butt to firm into the hamstrings. Use the hamstrings to pull your hips up off the floor. Keep pushing into the inner heels and only lift up to the point that you feel comfortable, okay? And then slowly, slowly keep tucking, lower it down. Now, if it feels like your blocks are sliding away from you, what that's telling you is that you're pushing your blocks this way instead of your hamstrings scooping up to pull into your butt or pull your butt away from the floor. You can also get yourself a teeny bit closer, okay? It might be that your distance from your feet is too much. Now, press the feet down again, tuck, lift the hips up. This time we're gonna stay. If your lower back is bothering you, it's probably telling you you're compressing it, you're not tucking enough. And if you get the tuck really well and get the firmness of the butt into the hamstrings, the low back should not bother you. But if it is, come off the blocks and try regular bridge pose. Don't let your knees wing out. Hug the knees in, lower the hips an inch, tuck the butt, lift the back up, like really scoop the butt into the hamstrings. Lower the hips an inch, maybe two, scoop the butt again, lift back up, okay? 3 more times, that's all I'm asking for. Lower the butt a little bit, scoop the pelvis. Literally feel, if I had a heat map of my body, it's my hamstrings and butt really lighting up here, okay? Breathe, lower a little, scoop, come back up. And then breathe, lower a little bit, scoop, come back up. Now, if this is enough for you and you don't want to do any more, just come down and rest. And when you're coming down, if you're a beast, stay up the whole time, okay? Even while I'm showing how to come down. Keep scooping, bring one vertebra at a time, really scoop the butt. That's if you're lowering and you're done for the day. You're just gonna keep tucking as you lower everything down and rest here, okay? Those of you, if you've stayed up with me, if you can, get the big toe ball, inner heel, the right foot, keep scooping, pick up the left leg. You can either keep the knee bent or extend the leg to the ceiling, lower an inch, scoop back up. 5 times. That's it. Lower an inch, scoop the right butt into the hamstrings, come back up. Lower the hips, scoop, 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 lift back up. Let that hamstring and butt burn on the right side. Lower an inch, scoop, lift back up. Or you can keep the knee bent for those of you. Last one, lower an inch, scoop, pick up, back up. And now you place the left foot down. Here's where finding that inner corner is so helpful, yeah? If that was enough, come back down and rest, but you gotta do the other side, okay? But if you're okay, stay back up, recommit, tuck the left butt under, really firm the bottom of the butt into the hamstrings. Pick up the right leg, either bend or extend it, lower the hips, scoop the left butt, push back up. You'll feel some quad, but really you wanna feel hamstring and glute. 3 more times. Lower an inch or two, tuck, more like an inch. Lift back up, okay? Lower an inch, tuck, tuck, tuck. Lift back up. Last one. Lower an inch, keep tucking. Lift back up, hold. And then with that control, place the right foot down. Find the edge of the block. Find the right glute so it feels easier. And now tuck like crazy as you bring your spine down. One vertebra at a time, but tuck, tuck, tuck. Get that last zing, that last work into your butt and your hamstrings. Woo! All right, that was a lot, okay? From here, you can slide the blocks out of your way. I forgot to mention that to put a blanket under your head, that would be really nice to just wrap everything up and lie down. If you're comfortable with the head on the floor like that, go ahead and just relax. Bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees wing out. Take a couple of breaths to open all this out, okay? So I prefer a blanket. I'm just going to roll to the side, grab my blanket, and from here, have a little bit of a lift underneath my head. Open the back of my neck a little bit, okay? I can rock a bit side to side, okay? Soften the breath, relax everything. I can bring my feet back up, okay? Make sure everything feels good and neutral here. I'm gonna do a supine twist to wrap up. Take your hips, slide them over to the left side of the mat, pick the knees up, take them to the right, okay? Hold the top leg down, push the sits bone away from you to open up this whole left hip side body. Open up the chest. So remember that whole shoulder work we did earlier with the pectorals. Open this top pectoral. And only if that feels good and it's not pinching in the knee or the lower back, and it feels like the sacrum is perpendicular to the floor, then move from the base of the neck to turn the head slowly, slowly toward that left arm. And just melt into the floor. Take a couple of breaths here. For those of you who want a little more, I wouldn't let this top knee touch the floor because that's a little too drastic for the pelvis. I would maybe put a hand under to secure this top knee, or maybe if you found, if you can reach a block, put the block underneath the knee at the 6-inch height, and then maybe extend that bottom leg, only if you want to, okay? You'll see when I move to the other side. You don't want that top knee to come down because that's just a little bit too much like torque that's happening to the sacrum. Take 2 more deep breaths. Breathe into your lats, your outer hips, your lower back. And then gently bring that left arm back to center. Tuck that bottom leg in. From here, roll yourselves back to center. Find center first. Don't rush into the other side. And then I take my hips, shift it all the way over to the right. Okay? Go as far over to the right as you can. Pick up the legs. Gently release down to the left side. Hold that top knee. Make sure your sacrum is perpendicular to the floor. Hold that down and then twist your chest. Twist the ribs against the hip. Push the sits bone away to keep opening up the right side of the low back. Open the chest and the pectorals first and the bicep. If that feels good, then you turn from the base of the neck to turn the head. Don't always lead with the head. You're just overworking the cervical spine if you're doing that. Okay, ease your way down. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And for those of you who want to extend the leg, what I was showing you on the other side is you take the 6-inch height block. You always want the knee about the same height as the hip. I mean, it's okay if it's a little lower, but not too low. My teacher would actually say you need to put the 9-inch height up So it's like hip to knee height. I'd say that 9 is good, 6 is also decent. Okay. You can extend the bottom leg out, and this makes the twist a little bit stronger. You definitely don't want to just collapse this because that's a little bit too much twist in the lower back and sacrum. And you breathe. Nice long inhale. And try to get some gunk out of that band of the upper back, of the ribs. Good. And only when you're ready to come out. No rush. Okay. Bring yourselves back. Take the arm back. Bring the bottom knee in. Roll back to center. Readjust yourself. And again, you do any last minute fidgeting that feels good. For me, it's usually one of the two things that are my habit is either hugging my knees into my chest, pushing the sits bones out to decompress my low back, and stretching out the top of the butt, the bottom of the butt, the top of the hamstrings, I mean, okay? Or I do a little bit of a happy baby because the more you open your groins, the better your lower back will feel, period. Okay, the more room you have in your groin, the more flexibility you have in your pelvis, the less the lower back gets encumbered. So, happy baby, things like that, always, always great to do. And finally, stretch your legs out, cover yourselves if you're a little cold, do a little more fidgeting if that feels good to you. Turn the palms up and breathe. And let the breath get soft and easy. Let the breath move its way into the back body. Feel like the back body is wide, heavy, contacting the floor, melting into the floor. And you use the breath to locate anywhere in the body that still is a little bit grippy, or just refusing to let go, or just saying a little gentle hello. And maybe let the breath tell you how to ease into it. And let the breath unknot whatever feels knotted. You can continue this way for as long as you'd like. And I encourage you to only come out of Shavasana when you're ready to. This could mean 2 minutes from now, 5 minutes, or you end up taking a nap. Do what feels good to you.